StitchyTube, hurry up and watch StitchyTube. This is a Quickie StitchyTube. And I don't even know what number it is. I didn't have time to check because it's Quickie StitchyTube. I'm busy. Hi, everybody. Hello. This is just like spur of the moment. Like, I better shoot a video before these people think I've fallen off the edge of the planet, of our flat earth. But I have not. Here I am. I'm getting ready for market. Ironically, historically, I have, sometimes if it's a while and I haven't made a video, people will start like sending me emails and they're like, hey, are you okay? And, it's just like, oh yeah, I've just been busy. I haven't been able to make one. It takes a while to put these together, usually if I'm doing a full-blown StitchyTube. And ironically, no one has asked, and I ended up in the hospital in the last month. Why didn't you ask about me this time? I think that's how it goes. Here's what happened. And I'm okay, but I was in the hospital briefly. So this was like, I think a week after I made my last video. I was getting ready for bed and it was late. It was like 11. And when I laid down, I was like, oh, my back kind of hurts. My back hurts. And then I was like, oh, now my stomach kind of hurts. And then I was like, trying to stretch it and trying to see what I could do. And I was like, Steve, will you rub my back quick? So I laid on the floor and he was rubbing my back and I said, get up, get up, get up. And he was like, what? And I was like, ow. And it was like, I was on the floor in agony, in pain, terrible, terrible pain, like labor pains, pain. And so I struggled with it for a bit because I thought maybe it's a muscle spasm. And then I was like, we have to go to the emergency room. So I laid in the back seat and I was like doing my Lamaze breathing from 3 decades ago. And he got me to the emergency room and it's late, it's midnight. And they checked me in and they immediately did an EKG. My heart was fine. And then they did some blood tests. They took some blood and they started me on an IV. And then they sent me into the magnetic, the MRI machine, the magnets. And so I went in the circle machine and they did that too. And everything looked fine. And we're just waiting and waiting. And honestly, let me tell you though, Steve threw me a couple of Motrin on the way out the door. And by about 10 minutes into my visit at the ER, I was like back to fine. So they ran tests and they said, oh, your lipase number is 1600. And I guess it's supposed to be below 100 and that's pancreatic functioning. So they said, we think you have pancreatitis. Are you a drinker? And I said, I had a glass of wine last Monday. And they were like, oh, no. You need to be drinking like 12 a day. And I was like, well, I don't do that. And they said, do you have stones? And I said, not that I know of. And they checked and I don't. So they said, well, sometimes it just happens. Your pancreas gets angry. And so they kept me overnight. And really it wasn't overnight because it was, by the time we got to my room, it was 5:30. And then they got me all tucked in. They were like, just let us know if you need anything. And I sent my husband home to try to get some sleep. And 14 times in the next 4 hours, somebody knocked on my door to tell me something or do something to me. So I got no sleep at all. By 9, I was like, whatever, I guess I'm up now. And some of it was just like, hey, my name is so-and-so. Welcome to the hospital. I'm like, I sure could be using some sleep right about now. Uh-oh, Beth Twist is texting me. I'm out running errands. Okay. So they did another blood test and the blood test ended up normal. They were like, oh, your lipase number is back in the normal range. So that was weird. And I had been on a drip, or what, a drip? Is it a drip? I had been on a, just a bag of fluids. I think I went through 2.5 bags and peed a lot. And so they checked me out at like 1 or 2. And then they set me up an appointment with my doctor. And he said, you know what? I think it was probably just muscle spasms. There's no way that number was 1600 and then back down to normal within a couple of hours. And I was like, that makes sense. I kind of felt like it was muscle spasms. So then, like the next night after that, it happened again. And it was 2 hours. And it was, the pain scale, I would say, was an 8 out of 10, where the emergency room was probably 9 out of 10. So I kind of toughed it out, thinking it was muscle spasms. And after 2 hours, it finally was done again. So then I called and made an appointment, and I went on a Monday, and he said, I think it's probably your gallbladder. And he said, if you don't have stones, you could have like a small blockage, or maybe it's just not working very well and it'll have to come out. And I was like, well, I have to go to Nashville. And he was like, oh, I'm not going to let you go. Ha ha ha. I am going to Nashville. So we're just waiting on test results. They did an ultrasound yesterday to see what my gallbladder's doing. So I'm okay. I haven't been in the hospital since I had my children. Like, I've never had to stay overnight in the hospital except to have my kids. And that was 28 and 23 years ago. So I guess I've had a pretty good run. And I'm fine otherwise. Other than those 2 attacks, it's normal. So anyway, I'm okay, which is great. So that's kind of been added to my list of things to do, which is don't fall on the ground in pain from your gallbladder. So hopefully things stay steady. I asked my doctor, what do I do if it happens again? And he was like, you're just going to have to tough it out. I'm like, oh no, I don't want to hear that. So we're prepping for Nashville. It's going very, very well. I am way ahead of schedule, luckily, compared to other years. Typically, some of us designers are like a fly by the seat of our pants kind of people, because we're artistic. So we're not always super organized. You have to be a certain amount of organized, but there's just a lot to do with continuing to run the business, and then on top of it, getting ready with new designs. And I'm not showing those today. I like to put that video up just right before I leave the house for market so that it's really a very surprisey surprise. I don't do pre-orders for shops at market, but I don't do limited edition things anymore. And I bring lots and lots of things because I drive. So I really don't run out. I usually send Hoffman Distributing home with a bunch of stuff too, because I just want people to be able to get them. And it's just one more thing for me to keep track of, to try to pull these pre-orders and have them ready. And then if a shop comes in and they're like, oh, you know what, we decided we want to change our numbers, or sometimes the shops don't make it to market. And it's like work that may not be worth anything. Please know that I have lots of charts, lots and lots of charts. And so I can't imagine you'll miss out unless I forget a box here at home, which I did one year. So hopefully I won't do that. Not Forgotten Farm, I was going to bring her models, and unfortunately something came up and it's just not going to happen. And maybe it'll happen again in the future. However, I will tell you that I am now distributing Marjorie Massey's charts, and I'll put some of her pictures here so you can see them. I started carrying Marjorie's charts like last year-ish. I mean, I know it was in 2019, but they're great. She's a very, very, and my thing is lagging again. I always hate it when it lags. I'm going to just X out of some stuff. I got so much going on here. Okay. Marjorie Massey is now going to be distributed by me here in the States. So what I'm doing is printing things here from her PDFs and then taking them to market. And so if you have a needlework store, either, online or an actual LNS, you can now order Marjorie's charts from me. At the show, I'm taking about 15 for starters. So if there are any outside that 15, I can request from Marjorie. We're printing them just like she does, with a heavy cream ivory colored cover, and then the charts are in full color, which is really cool. So I'm going to be distributing for her. And then Tracy Riffle from Hands to Work is coming back to designing. And so she's going to send 5 models and charts for those 5 to market, and I'm going to be distributing her as well. There are a few other people I'm talking to, because I don't want to start an empire, but some of these designers, like I kind of, with Marjorie, I was like, nobody carries her stuff. Like, I think I'm the only place in the United States that gets it. She doesn't have a website. She has a Facebook page, but she's really tricky to track down. And so, a lot of shops don't want to place an order overseas because the shipping's expensive. And they're not sure, like, if I order from France, will it get here? How long will it take? What if my credit card is compromised? This way it all is in the United States. We do the printing here, and then that way she doesn't have to pay the expense of shipping. Charts are very heavy, and it's expensive to get things in from Europe. So it just is going to help her out. It's going to help me out, and hopefully it'll help the shops out too, being able to carry her really great designs. Tracy is just coming back to it, and like I said, I'm going to have 5 models. There's going to be charts for all 5. A couple of them are new, and a couple of them are I'll call them classic designs, where designs that she had before, and she's working on getting things that she had before re-released, and that's going to be exciting too. So if you have a shop, feel free to email me if you have requests or anything like that. And I am not taking pre-orders for Market. You can see what I have there, but then in the future, you know, you can email me and let me know what you need. Okay, crossing things off. Hospital crossed off. So what does that say? Okay, so I wanted to talk about just a couple of things that kind of have come up, either questions from people. Banana Republic, it's a sweater, the cat. A couple of people have asked questions, you know, about like, hey, are you taking pre-orders for such and such by so-and-so? I don't. I don't generally do pre-orders before Market, and here's why. I know that sometimes people get stressed because it's like, well, what if I don't get one? There's 140, I think, vendors at this show. And there are 210 shops roughly that will go to the show to buy things. I am placing pre-orders with some people if they let me. I mean, they are letting me. So I've got some of my standards. I just have pre-orders already placed. I get lots and lots now. I get a lot, like a lot. And so I'm getting very good quantities where I'm not going to run out, hopefully, too quickly. Pre-orders are a stress for me, and they can be a stress for the customer too, because let's say I go to Market and somebody named, you know, Eureka Yannette from Shakespeare's Yedler forgot a box of charts on her kitchen table. Well, now, even though I placed a pre-order, I'm going to have to come home without it and wait for it to come in the mail. And it's not a big deal, except for that if it was somebody who placed a pre-order, that person's expecting to get it as soon as I get home. But I don't have it. And sometimes it might take a week or 2 weeks. And I've had to wait for Market things for, you know, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, even 6 months. And so now I have to manage this pre-order by calling the customer or emailing the customer, let them know what happened, then they let me know what they want me to do. And it just creates, I'm going to call it a burden, but don't take that negatively. It's an extra task for me to do in the midst of the busiest couple of weeks of my year. And so it just can create chaos. Let's say, you know, somebody puts in a pre-order for things that, you know, aren't on my list, where they're like, hey, when you go to Market, will you pick up this from this person? What if I get there and they're sold out, or they forgot to bring it, or I can't get to their booth in time? I have to run a booth at Market, and then I also have to buy for a shop. And I do both pretty well, considering, but I can't individually shop for people at Market. And I'm sorry, I know there are companies that do that, and you certainly are welcome to, you know, look for those online. Just please know that at Market, as I receive things, they're going to start going up on my site. I already am making listings for the things I'm pre-ordering that I have pictures for, but you can't see them. They're not visible on my website. They're visible to me on the back end. And then at Market, as I pick up packages from designers, I will start making those visible with the quantities that I actually received. I'm going to count them all and make sure I have what I need. And then that way you can place orders, and it kind of is like pre-ordering because you're ordering it before I even get home with the products. But we're going to just hold that until I get home. We'll start packing orders on Tuesday. I leave Monday, and then Tuesday morning we hit the ground running and just start packing orders like crazy. I'm calling all of those Nash stashes. So they'll all say Nash stash, which is Nashville stash. And that way you'll know what things are on the site that are going to be coming back with me from Market, and that we will hold your entire order until Tuesday when I get back. I'm not shipping from Nashville. I just can't. But I'm super excited because there really are some great things coming out of Market. What a lot of talent this community has. I get so inspired going and being with all of these people. Now, I do like to show what I'm doing at the last possible minute. I will tell you, you already know that Maria Finney, for the sampler from last year from the Country Sampler, is being released, and a lot of people have been waiting for that one. I am putting together silk packs to go with that too, and I have lots of the fabric on order, which is 36 count from Weeks Dye Works, and I'm getting it in this Weigert base and their regular base. I also am finishing up the Jenny Bean for the Parlor series, and I've had people asking, and yes, parts 7 and 8 are done, and they're going to be released at the show, and so you'll be able to get those as soon as market, as soon as it's market too. And actually, the kids can probably start shipping those even just that weekend of market from here. And that's all I want to tell you, because there's some other things too, but I'm going to wait because I just like for it to be at the last possible minute. Okay, I don't know if I've had it, well, a couple of people maybe have asked this recently, but I've heard some chatter just from other people and online about DMC conversions for fabrics on website. And I think that's a good thing to talk about. So the idea is that, there are some websites that have their fabrics listed with a, little picture of the fabric and then a DMC conversion. And some people say, like, that's very helpful, which it is. I totally get that it's helpful. And so sometimes people are like, well, why don't you do that? Here's why. Because I carry 550 to 600 different fabrics. And they're coming in almost on a daily basis. I'm getting shipments. And it comes in and it leaves, and it comes in and it leaves. And some things I wait for a while and I never know, and then all of a sudden it floods in. I think I'm expecting 2 X Jude Designs shipments this week. It's going to be like, I don't know, 60 or 70 or some yards of fabric. So every time I get fabric from the hand dyers, but even from Zweigert, the colors can be slightly not the same as last time. So that would mean that every time I get a box of fabric, I would need to sit down with that fabric and my DMC conversion, match the colors, update the website for that 1 yard of fabric. Or sometimes all I get is a half yard. Sometimes the hand dyers, all they've got is a half yard. So then it adds a humongous amount of work up for me on this end. And I know it's like, well, but that's good customer service. And it is. But let's say I'm dealing in hypotheticals today. I'm going to put that down. Dealing in hypotheticals. So let's say that I'm having a really busy day and I get a shipment of fabric and I forget or I don't have time to match the DMCs, but I still have the old one on there. Somebody gets their fabric and they're like, hey, you said this is close to DMC 931, but it's really more of a 932. Now what do we do? Because the information wasn't exactly right. I try to make my pictures as clear, clean, and color corrected as possible. Now things translate different from computer to computer and all of these little bits that go through the internet. And so it may not look exactly like it is. I will tell you that there are times when a fabric comes in and it is different enough from previous shipments that I re-photograph or rescan that color and update it that way. There's not a great way to give you guys an experience like shopping at a shop. There isn't anything like shopping in a shop in person to touch and feel all these fabrics and see what color they are in the sunlight. I will tell you, even like depending on what time of day in here, if I am DMC matching for something, just the fact that it's day or it's evening makes a difference in how that color looks to me and what color I might match it to in DMC. It's hard. It's hard to do. And so I don't really have a problem with, somebody might say like, hey, I'm going to stitch such and such sampler. Do you have a fabric that would be close to DMC blah, blah, blah? I don't have a problem with like, no, I'm going to have a ton of these. It's okay though. I don't have a problem with taking the DMC and looking through my fabric and being like, oh yeah, this matches it perfectly. But it just isn't feasible for me at this juncture to update those every time they come in. Because like I said, sometimes it's like in fact, I got a package last week that there was a 1/4 yard in it. So am I going to take the time to match DMC? I can't. I just can't. And so that's why I don't do it. I will tell you, I really try on the pictures end to make it look as good as possible. It is hard. I wish I could, Willy Wonka reach you through the television and, you could have the experience, but it's really hard. So that's why. I just wanted to let you know. That's all. Okay. Cross that off. Okay. Another person asked, and I don't know who because it was a while back and I don't have time to go look and see. Somebody said, hey, next time you make a video, will you talk about the difference between reproduction samplers and just samplers. And yeah, sure. A reproduction sampler typically is, I mean, always pretty much, is when a designer takes an old antique sampler and, you know, stitch by stitch recharts it so that you can recreate the original sampler. And then a sampler, just a regular sampler, would be something that a designer designs out of her own head. And so it's like a fictitious sampler. It may look like an old sampler, but it's not. There are purists who believe that if you're going to reproduce something exactly, you should, it should end up to be like within 10% of the size of the original, which gets tricky sometimes because I have some samplers that are stitched on like 65 count. And so then it's like, ooh, ooh. So, and then some people believe that when you reproduce a sampler that it should be done in the colors on the back or as vibrant as the colors might have been. And there are some designers that do the vibrant route. Nicola from Hands Across the Sea does it in such pretty colors. And the Scarlet Letter, most of her samplers are done kind of more based on what the original colors would have been. I believe the sampler out of Canada also kind of subscribes to that school. I like to try to match the colors that are on the front of the sampler now because I like the reproductions to look like an antique. And so that's what I do. I kind of like them to look dusty. Maybe some colors don't show up super great on the fabric. That's what I really like. And then there's a whole nother school of thought where some designers, and this would include, and so I'll say, like, I do that. I match the front. And I would say, like, Paulette Stewart does that. Brenda Gervais does that. And there are some designers, like Blackbird Designs, I'm trying to think, Little House Needlework, where they do a reproduction, but they use the symbol, you know, the motifs and everything from the original, but they kind of morph it into like, these are our colors, like this is our color palette that we like to use. And so it's not an exact match for the original on the back or on the front, but it is kind of like a reimagined reproduction sampler. And some people would say, well, that's not a true reproduction. Okay. So, but it's still pretty. And, you know, you can always do what you want to do. I actually sometimes, and I have Hannah Pepper I'm working on. I mean, I'm not working on it, but I could be working on it. I can't work on it now. So, I sometimes will, if there's a picture of the original sampler and it's done in the more kind of vibrant colors that might have been on the back of the sampler, I will take a sampler and I call it dumbing it down, but I basically just mute it and grunge it up a little bit because I want it to look old. I will tell you that one of the pieces I'm releasing at market, I actually took a sanding block to. Because I'm brave and or crazy. So that's what a reproduction sampler is versus a regular sampler. I think, you know, there's potential for people to be super confused in 200 years because they're going to be like, is this sampler 400 years old or was it stitched? I don't know. They're going to be confused about a lot of things in 200 years. They really will. So we're not going to worry about that too much. Okay. Let's see. I also wanted to talk about the fundraiser that I do on my website. I've been sending the shelter checks. I do about once a month, send them a big check from the fundraising that I'm doing. And you can find it under Stash for Cash for Cats and Dogs on my site, which is like in the bar on the top of the first page. And then it's also in the drop. Oh no, it's just in the top of the bar. So I used to do it kind of just like in December and then again in the spring. And I thought, you know what? People send me stuff all year. And it kind of makes sense. Every couple days I'll throw a few new things up as we sell other things. So we're just going to call this like an ongoing fundraiser because the shelter actually needs money all the time. And some of you are just so generous with your charts that I hate to just hang on to them for like 6 months when they could be, you know, being used now. So if you have things you'd like to donate, feel free. You can just contact me and I'll give you my address. I get great things. I get things that are out. I put some up today that were out of print things. I get reproduction sampler stuff. I get kits. And it all helps. I had a set of Needles Praise charts what sampler was it called? The Berlin Woolwork sampler or something like that. Anyway, it was all 8 parts. It was worth $70 and somebody bought it. I posted it like yesterday or the day before and it sold for $70 and that will pay for the adoption fee on a cat, which is pretty cool. So the fundraiser is just going to be ongoing. That's a good way to do it. That way I'm not trying to do it like real big twice a year. I'm just doing it in parts all the time as I have time to do that. I try to keep about 100 items in that section. So take a look. And then another thing that I've started doing is that if the bottom 10 items, I typically mark down really low, like $1 or $2 or $3. And so as those kind of shift out of being out of stock, then the next one up. And I just figure if stuff's been around for a little bit and it's not selling, I just mark it way down so I can get it out of here and make room for new. Okay, so I checked that off my list. So what else is going on? I talked last time, I think, about the possibility of me opening a store in about a year. There is a place up the road, just a couple of minutes, that they have a big sign, and I called to see, and it's kind of a cool spot, and it would be very close. I'm busting at the seams here at the house. We carry 4,500 different products roughly, and stuff comes in, we shovel it in, and then we shovel it out, and I've taken over 3 rooms, so it's just gotten to be a lot of stuff here. And it's all, I had somebody contact me this week and she said, can I ask you something? And I don't mean to be offensive or anything, but if I order fabric from you, is it going to be covered in cat hair? No. The fabrics everything is contained. So like the fabrics all are in plastic tubs that click shut, and then we open it to pull your fabric out, and then we close it back up again. So cats are not laying in the fabric. The charts are all in file cabinets, and so you're going to get charts with perfect edges. We keep stuff as clean and as tidy as possible, but there's going to be a point at which it's maximum overload problem. So I'm looking at opening a store, and I will probably need later this year, I will need to hire probably a couple more people. Graham and Katie may be moving away this summer. The group of 4 friends may be moving all to Topeka because one of them has received a job. When he's finished with his degree this spring, he'll be working for the Topeka Police Department. So I think they're all going to go and find a place together and have a new adventure. So Graham is planning on still dyeing his fabrics from there, and so I will be receiving shipments from him in the mail, and that's what he'll be doing. And so then I lose my employees. So getting into a shop would allow me to also, I guess I hate to say be more professional, but I don't really want to hire people I don't know to come work in my house. And it it's just a little strange. So I just think it would be a good break to just have this shop. I don't think the shopping center is going to be done by the end of the year. I bet you it'll be about a year from now. Instead of November or December, it'll probably be March. That's my guess. But I'm going to give them a call sometime in the next few weeks and just see how that's going. They said they would show me plans this spring before they broke ground and started, in case I wanted certain specifications. So the exciting news there is that I met with a rep from Moda today. His name is Robert, and he's the rep for this area. Very, very nice. Moda Fabrics is a big quilting company. Blackbird Designs used to design for Moda. I think they aren't anymore. And then Sandy Gervais used to also design for them and isn't anymore. But they have like 60-some fabric designers. I'm going for like a prim, samplery, folk arty look. I'm not going to carry, like batiks or metallic fabrics or things that are, So I'm going to carry good fabrics for like quilting and finishing, and things like zippers and stuff like that. And so when I'll have some of that stuff available on my website, but also just in the store for the local customers. So I am going to be placing an order with them and start carrying some of their, like packs of quarter yards and things like that. So that was exciting too. I have a lot planned for market. I always kind of tend to overdo it. But I'm going to do my designs, Marjorie Massey's designs, Tracy Riffle's designs, and then I'm going to take t-shirts, and we've made a ton of magnets. I'm so excited. They're so cool. A ton of needle magnets. We're going to have note cards. We're going to have, what else? T-shirts. Seems like I'm missing something. I have a ton of stuff. Granny's button bags. I'm going to have rusty jingle bells and safety pins. I will tell you that the jingle bells and safety pins are going to start drying up at some point this year. The person that I buy those from, the company that she buys them from, is not going to be making them anymore, and she can't find another source. So if you like those rusty jingle bells on my site, you better get some now, because they're going to... She said she's got enough to last her through the end of the year probably, but I've been buying a bunch of them because they're really, really cool, and I don't know how I'm going to find them again. I am working on making up more Fractor bird kits, and it's still in my plan to make another, like a companion to that. And Nina from Nina's Threads is working on getting the threads put together so I can kit that up for you guys. So our days are filled with filling orders right now, and I place orders every day with suppliers, and we get them in and we put them in stock and we shovel stuff out. And then I'm also, still stitching a little bit for my market stuff, but that's okay, because I work best under pressure. And we're doing a lot of packaging for these items that we're going to have. We also have had to print Marjorie's charts, and we've packed those. We have packed thousands and thousands of charts, and it's going to be just so great. I just love Nashville Market. It's probably like one of my happiest weekends of the year, honestly. I get to see my friend Sue. I get to see my friends, my designer friends, and my shop friends. And, there used to be a couple of markets every year, and there just aren't anymore. There's just really the Nashville show. And so it's kind of the one time a year that we're all in the same building. There's so much excitement. It's inspiring to see not only what other people have created in terms of designs and to meet new people, but it's inspiring even to just see the new colors of thread and fabrics and things like that. I go home totally energized. And so even though I should be exhausted at the end of the show, I come home just like ready, just like shadow boxing, like ready to go. I just really like this community. Genuinely. I genuinely love to see my fellow designers. It's just happy. It's so happy. I would go if it wasn't a cash and carry. It's just fun to be around everybody, and it's just inspiring and fun and happy. So that's what it is. I did rent a U-Haul this year. Not a U-Haul. I rented a cargo van. So last year, you may remember, I bought a Mini Cooper. It's a Mini Countryman. And I bought it knowing that I wasn't going to be driving with my own car to things anymore. So like when I went to Tulsa at the Silver Needle this fall, I rented a car. Because really, once you figure out the mileage, like the wear and tear on your vehicle, it's just not worth it to use your own car. And I want to keep my car nice and to be my zip around town car. And it's not really big enough for me to take stuff to market. Typically, I would load up my Rogue, which I could fold the seats down and everything could fit in there. So I rented, for starters, from Enterprise, a vehicle like that. And then I got to thinking about it. I was like, oh, I'm going to have room for Marjorie's stuff. And I'm taking mason jars, and I'm taking dough bowls, and I'm taking t-shirts and magnets. And it's too much. So I rented a cargo van. I think I will have empty room in it, because I don't take... I may fill a good chunk of it up, but the offer is out there to my friend Jen that if she runs out of room in her truck, which there's no way she will, but I'll have room going back hopefully. But I'm gonna go home with a lot of stuff too. And I don't know if I can say like what my favorite things are that I've seen so far. Brenda G always knocks it out of the park. They're all amazing. I am getting in some of the finishing stuff to go with her new designs, like the boxes and the hoops and things, which will be really cool. Scarlet House had some beautiful reproductions. Nicola has always got beautiful samplers. I can't wait to see those in person. She's got one with elephants on it, which is really, really cool. Who else? I'm trying to think of who else. So Jen, I talked to Jen earlier today, and she said, oh my gosh, Beth Twist knocked it out of the park. Her stuff looks amazing. And so then I came home and it wasn't in my email. So I called Beth quick and left a message, and that's why I got that text. What else did I, oh, okay. So, Teresa Kogut, have you seen her samplers, her new sampler designs? She's a natural. She's a natch. I'm going to call her a natch designer at designing samplers. they're great. And it's my understanding that it's kind of really the first time that she has charted in the software without creating a painting first. So I think that's really cool. I think she enjoyed it too. I am hoping to get to talk to her at market. You see from the Primitive Hair has some really cool stuff. She's got some pirate fabric that's really neat. She's got a raven piece that I have to stitch for Graham. He loves ravens. And she's got some strawberry things too. Really, really good. Who else? I'm trying to think. I can't even think of everything. I've got a bunch of pre-orders in, and I've got some phone calls and emails to send yet, but that list is getting shorter, and then I'll just really feel like okay. I just feel so much more relaxed than the last couple of years because I have help. So I have 2 people helping me pack charts. Typically at market, I'm still kidding things or packaging things up. I told Sue yesterday, I said, we don't have to do any of that this year. We're going to come and it has to get set up, but it's done. And so that's really nice to have that out of the way. And then I haven't typically done a bunch of pre-orders before. And I'm really glad I'm taking the time to do that this year because it cuts out some worry for me. I feel very disappointed if I go to a booth and they're like, oh, that sold out. And of course, the thing that sells out is the most amazing one, right? It's the thing that everybody wanted, but now I have to go home and wait for it. And it's not the designer's fault. And it's not even really my fault because I am trying to run a booth at the show also. But it's just that it's hard to divide my time between the things that I have to do. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Marilyn and Picture This Plus isn't going to be there this year, but I placed my order like 3 weeks ago maybe, or 4 weeks ago for the new colors. She has 2 new colors that are like sampler colors. Amazing. I ordered so much of it, and I can't wait to have that in my grubby little hands. And I'm hoping I can get to the R&R booth. I don't know if they open Friday night. I always miss that. They bring, I think, about 700 yards of fabric, and I miss it every year. Every year I go and it's like, we have 2 yards left there. Because I carry a lot of their fabrics. I think 150 different color combinations, and I'm out of a bunch of it right now, just because they've been running behind due to some health issues. And I think it was like eye surgery or something. Pat maybe had eye surgery. So I'm out of a bunch. I'm hoping I can get there to stock up again. What else do I want to say about that? So I will tell you too, one of the things I do, and I think I mentioned it before, is I send stuff home with Rod from Hoffman Distributing, which is so nice because it saves me shipping, and they just have it then when they get home. So I just have to catch them before they load up because they just drive back to Birmingham. Okay, I feel more calm. I think I was kind of rushing through that first part there. It's just busy, but it's a good busy, and I'm okay. Yes, I was in the hospital, but yes, I'm okay. It's totally fine. So tonight I'm going to be working on stitching something that's for market that looks great. Looks super great. But I'm still putting new stuff up on the website. We do have a giveaway that we're doing for the first 400 orders, I think, after market. And they have to be an order that's $30 or more. So the first 430 or dollar more, the first 400 orders that are $30 or more get a present from me. And we've already got that all assembled, and so that's going to be just like a little extra freebie for y'all. We do hand out something free with every order anyway. I've been doing a lot of Marjorie Massey's charts. I'm thinking about getting some sampler stickers made and handing those out this spring. We will see. I hope you guys are doing great. I do have people contact me and say, oh my gosh, did you see so-and-so's video? No, I didn't. I get caught up sometimes, and I did watch some FlossTube this week, and I think I'll be able to watch some this weekend and get caught up on some FlossTube so I know what's going on. But I do always love to see what you guys are doing and what you're working on, and just hang out with you and feel like we're friends in real life and that you come to my house. Zero was pretty relaxed today, I guess. Hey, Zika virus. No, he's happy. So I guess I'm just going to say have a good weekend. I don't typically do the giveaways on these Quickie Stitchy Tubes because they're very just kind of rando and train of thought. So the next time I actually do a full StitchyTube, I will give away the giveaway from the last video, which was a $25 gift card to my shop. I also am, just to let you know, planning on doing interviews again at market. And I don't know who I'm interviewing this year. That's another kind of fly by the seat of my pants thing. I told Teresa Kogut that the last 2 years I wanted to interview her, and it seemed like every time I went to try to catch her, she was either busy with a customer or she was out visiting people, which happens. So we have already committed to making time to get together this year, and I may interview her outside of show hours. But I'll probably do a lot of the same types of people that I did in the past 2 years. I know you guys like to see the rooms and see the designers talk about things and answer questions and be a little bit silly. So some of them will be the same, I'm sure, and some of them I'll probably get some new people too. I am teaching a class at Market too about how to do floss tube, and if you're a shop and you're coming and you want to sign up for that, it is a free class. I think it's almost full. It overfilled last year and it's almost full again this year, but we can squeeze you in. It doesn't cost any money, and I don't talk about the technicality of making videos, like what kind of system to use and what kind of software to use, because everybody has different specs, and it's just I couldn't teach 40 people with their individual setups how to do a video, but all of that information is on YouTube. You can watch videos about it, but I talk more about just kind of the ins and outs of things to watch out for, things to make sure to do, and advice like that. I was looking at my write-up from last year, and I think it said like at last January or December I had 4,000 I think subscribers, and that was like I had just hit around 4,000, and now I have, I don't know, what am I at, like 8,000-ish or so? I don't know, maybe it's 7,000 something, but it's a lot more than it was a year ago. It's kind of cool to see those numbers grow. I like hearing from you all. I get nice emails from people, and silly ones, and people show me things, and I just really like that. It's very nice. So thank you when you do that. I do email everybody back. If I get an email from you, I do email you back. I don't keep up with the YouTube comments anymore because I just don't have time. So I try to give you a little heart to let you know that I read them. I used to respond to all of them, and it just got to be just one of those things that's got squeezed out. I do reply to some of them sometimes if you make me laugh, or if you have a question that I can answer pretty quickly, I'll answer your question. I will say too, one of the other things that I've been working on is recharting a lot of my older designs. I used to design a long time ago on PC Stitch at home. So I did my designing at home. I always have had a Mac at work and for my needlework business. And then when I took a break there in the middle, we got a different computer. I don't know where any of those files went. And so I'm working off of old paper copies. Then that's how I always printed my charts, was off of paper copies, because I didn't print them. I did print them at work, but I wasn't using the same software. I was transferring from a PC so I would print them at home and then use that. So some of my original copies are getting kind of tatty, and I've been working on updating some of the charts so that not only when I print them, they look clear and crisp and nice. I've done Jenny Bean's Halloween sampler recently. I did Jenny Bean's Christmas sampler last week, and so that's available now as a download on my site. I did Peter's Cotton Knits from Raise the Roof Designs. I just uploaded today. I had done that a while back, but I guess I never posted it. So I'm just trying to make things easier for those of you who'd like to save a little money and not have things shipped, and just be quickie about it. So that's something that I'm working on too. There's always something, right? So that's it, I think. But it's good to see you, and I guess wish me luck. You'll see me again before I leave, and I leave, I believe, 2 weeks from today. So it's the weekend of March 6th. This is the Nashville market. So I've got 2 weeks to get stuff together. No problem this year. Way more relaxed, which is good, because my gallbladder, my poor gallbladder. I told my mom I need to get one of those stuffed animals. I don't know if you've seen them. You can get the organs of the body. I need to get a gallbladder stuffed animal, because you guys haven't seen Hamrock for a while. So Hamrock is still here. Hello. And anyway, well, I hope you guys have a nice weekend and get some stitching done. And I guess just stay posted, because a lot of designers now are starting to tip their hat, and you can see what they've got, and How are any of you ever going to decide what you want? I don't know. So I'll see you later. Bye, guys.